Okay, so we're in record. Nichola MacEvilly, how are you, dear?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Welcome
In
to
one
the.
piece.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I haven't seen you in the real world for a bit now.
Yeah, gosh, that's probably the last time. I was thinking before we went into lockdown, we managed to get
Mm.
that gig in the Sugar Club for
Yeah,
Bedlam.
yeah,
It was a whole other adventure. So we
yeah.
were lucky.
We'll talk about Bedlam for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, the work that you did with those nervous animals was all remote. It's all.
And it was so funny because I remember it was such a hot day, and I had just because I do voiceovers as well. We had
Yeah.
all kind of got ourselves these mics. Our voice agents had recommended these
Mm-mm.
mics. We all went and bought these mics. We had to wait weeks because everybody was setting up. Everyone was like, I can't be in the wardrobe all year. Making
Yeah.
voiceovers. So I had this brainwave that I set up my little voiceover studio in a tent, a little teepee tent, because everyone else was fighting off duvets and everything. So I thought I was great until I had to crawl in and do and then like
Oh,
28 degrees. It was so warm, but it was brilliant. Yeah, it
is
was
this
so
is this
funny.
down your back garden?
No, it's a tiny teepee. It's like for a child.
All
So I just
right.
have it set up. I have it set up sort of in the middle of the house, away from any noise or walls or rooms or anything.
All right,
And
right.
the idea was I'd have a structure to throw the duvet on top of, to kind of,
Wonderful.
yeah,
So to
keep the
baffle all
sound.
the sound, yeah, and keep it all. Well, it
Yeah,
sounded
that was
great.
the advice. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
thanks. Thanks.
it
It's
sounded.
cool.
Yeah, we obviously the work that we've done already with Bedlam kind of give me the experience of working with you, what you sounded like, and the timbre of your voice. And there's this section in Can't Resist a Mystery, and it was kind of written as a jam. The song is quite kind of intricate, but as it works, everything like that sort of relaxes as it goes on the outro, and everyone is going
Yeah.
la da 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 da, and that
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
Barry and Eddie that came up with those lines. But um, and we'd recorded many years ago in Nicky Ryan's, but to recreate it, we needed to get the voices meshed, and then Jerry Leonard did some lovely editing. So it
Yeah. Yeah.
places it in the middle of the song as well as at the end,
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool.
and
It's
it
really, really
sounded great.
cool.
Well, I wanted to talk to you just about some of the things we've done, but also about things you've been involved in yourself. I suppose the
Yeah.
other big one the first thing I remember of you is Nonsense.
Oh my God. Nonsense. Sure, I was hardly walking.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
loved that. That was so funny. So I had done do you know, I was 10 when I did my first Sligo Fun
Good
Company
Lord.
gig, and I was Annie. I was a bit of a late starter now. They were all, I'm telling you, they were all very experienced. I was a bit of a newbie.
uh,
And Mary gave me that gig, and oh, I loved it so much. But then for some reason or other, I got more into the speech and drama than the musicals. And Mary, I must have I started secondary school and all that. I was probably, trying to be cool. Anyway, then Nonsense, then we had gone back. A bunch of my friends, really great friends who are still my friends, went back to Mary's dancing classes. I was like, oh, I'm going to go with you. I used to love
this
that.
is the wonderful Mary McDonough we're talking
Mary
about here.
McDonough. Yeah, yeah, Mary McDonough's dance classes. So went back anyway, and she was holding auditions for Nonsense, this small enough musical. Five
Yeah.
people, I think, were in it. And I was to play a novice nun. And who was kind of joining the convent, but really wanted to be a ballerina.
Right.
So Stefan taught me a bit of ballet and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was brilliant. Damien Brennan was in it. He was
He
Mother
was.
Superior. He was Mother Superior.
Oh,
Oh yeah, there's great people in that. We had a great time. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that
Glad
was.
to remember it.
Oh yeah. Well, but you were singing away and doing everything really. As you say, it was a small ensemble, so it was great. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
indeed working with Damien as well. I was on the MD side of things then. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then there was an interval, and you'd done a lot in the meantime before you started working with us on Bedlam Suitcase. You'd had this
Yeah.
amazing career in loads of different ways, but particularly in acting.
I
Um,
went off and I went to drama school. I went off to London, probably shortly after Nonsense. At 18, I went off and trained in London. Yeah, I went to drama school there and then stayed there, for a good 10 years to work. And Yeah, I did a lot of acting there, which was the reason I was there. But then I did a few other things as well. Like I worked in film and produced some short films that did quite well. And then I also worked in casting and with an
Right,
agent as well. So I got
right.
to know all that side of things. I worked with Hubbards for a while.
Oh,
They're a
right.
London based, but they're a famous Irish. They
Yes.
cast The Commitments. That was their first big thing. So that was amazing. But I think as when I was working in that office, because Roz Hubbard was Irish, she herself said, "Why aren't you in Ireland acting? Do you know, why aren't you at home getting those roles?" So that was a bit of a spur to just, open the net a bit. Yeah.
Mm.
Mostly theatre stuff, bit of TV and film. No musicals.
Since nonsense.
Nobody's put me in a musical. Tried a few times, but
And you'd be perfect because you've got all the chops in the different departments, dance,
yeah.
singing.
Oh no, I think the dancing kind of ended with nonsense. I think that was it. Dancing now at the disco would be the height of the dancing. I know, but I wouldn't.
But I think
I mean, that was
stage
the thing.
is stage your first love.
I think so, but then I also love. I suppose it comes down to scripts and creating, bringing them to life. I think that would be the source of it, and then that can manifest itself in so many different ways. Whether it's through a song or through a piece of film or a poem or whatever.
What are your favorite roles that you think of that you can look back?
Oh gosh, wow. Well, the first job I ever did was on the bill and it wasn't a very large role, but I just remember being so like I just felt like I had like the first thing that happened to me on the set was I thought I was just going to say my lines, but apparently there was this whole kind of stunt set up all around me, and these two brilliant stunt guys sort of like tackled me to the ground. Before I knew it, I was just lying on the ground, unscathed, really safely, but had to look really traumatic. And I sort of loved the action of that. I thought that was a really, it took about 15 to 20 people to make that happen, but it looks so simple on the screen, so that, I suppose that was a bit of an awakening. So I always remember that as this example of what it's going to take a lot of us to make one really cool thing. And then what else did I love? Oh God, there's been so many. I loved playing. I did this play a couple of years ago. Oh God, I can't believe it's a couple of years ago. It's actually the last sort of play I did that wasn't streamed online or I'd have a mic or something. The last time my voice hit the back of the theater, it was a female version of The Odd Couple. Neil Simon wrote The Odd Couple. It became a famous TV show for the.
Yes, I remember the TV show.
Yeah, he also wrote a female version of that. So I played the crazy Florence character who's, has to clean the house and obsessive and neurotic. Loved playing that. Played Margaret Skinner, who's a real life character. She was side by side with Constance Markovich in Easter Rising, and she was an ace sniper.
So I remember. I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah. I had to shoot the gun, and I was too good at it because I only got to do it once. I was like, "Oh, give us another go." Yeah, we filmed that on Henrietta Street in Dublin. I was shooting out the window, and there was members of the army there around you, like placing the gun in your hand, and because you're shooting blanks as well, you have to recreate the pull, so
the recoil,
the bang, and you just kind of shudder. Oh, I love that so much. She was really cool.
Yeah, it was a powerful piece of work.
Yeah, it was basically sort of 7 women, it was called, and it was telling the stories and highlighting their role in the rising of these women who had been completely and literally airbrushed out of the story. I mean, there's a photograph and you can see a woman's feet that they forgot to continue the airbrushing, like they were literally airbrushing them out of the story. Alongside, Connolly and Pierce, and they take out all the women, so just didn't fit the narrative of the following.
No, of the heroic males who were.
Yeah, and this society that was to be created after, which has nothing to do with what they were fighting for in the first instance.
Very good.
Fighting for equality. Yeah, I loved that, and there's been loads of lovely little roles. There's been plenty that I've been happy to leave behind. But that's the way it goes.
You've always kept an interest in singing and in music and in performance in that respect as well. So that's been a
Yeah,
parallel thread, hasn't it?
it has in the last decade, I'd say. I think my time in London was purely acting. And there's this funny thing that happens in the UK when you leave a drama school. You know, you sort of have to choose. If you decide to go into musical theatre, you become musical theatre, and they there's a tendency to kind of um lock you off into that category, because then it's easier just to decipher who to see for roles and things. So I was very adamant I didn't want that. You know, I felt I wanted to work in the big theatres and work on the TV things, and I could see that musical theatre performers, as bad as it was, were being pushed out of those opportunities. And it's still the same thing, you know, over in the UK in particular. You know, they'll ask you, it's a bit musical theatre, you know.
All right.
And that's so it's a particular genre that you work towards. And I was just more interested in the theatre side of things, because I had grown up looking at shows in the Abbey and the Blue Raincoats work, you know, so I was really inspired by that.
And of
So
course,
then
your family, there's a family connection there with the arts and with.
there would be. Dad directed Sligo Art Gallery, and then my brother was a brilliant actor. Oh, he'll be so delighted that I said that on the record. he was like with Sligo Drama Circle, and him playing Johnny Boyle in Juno and the Paycock when he's a bit older than me, so he'd hate me. Give a gift and then take it back. He played a brilliant Johnny Boyle, and I remember being too young to see that play, but been so inspired by the drama of it all. But then the singing was something really that came back into my life when I was working more in Ireland. So I think a lot of my UK colleagues were sort of surprised that I had. You know, over my time in London, I'd only really sing if someone asked me to sing at their wedding, like a friend or something. I come home and sing, and I used to love it so much, but I just didn't have the opportunities, and I didn't create them either. It just wasn't something that I was focused on. So then when I came home, I just it was, yeah, I think Deirdre Melvin, who works in the Hawkswell, she's also a good friend of mine, but she's also really good at kind of, you know, pairing people up and planting seeds in people's brains. And I think she might have said to Kieran Quinn, when, you know, she used to sing, or I was always on at Kieran because his theme nights were impossible to get into. And he said, well, if you sing at one, you know, you could get in. So that was the beginning of it. And then, you know, it's funny because I was listening to the radio there maybe this morning, and there was an actress on the radio, brilliant actress, and she was talking about how her acting career was just a sequence of good fortune. You know, one job led to the next, and I was like, I hope she knows how lucky she is, because it's never been like that for me. It's always been such a battle to get every single role. And then I thought, but hold on, that's what my music singing side of things has been like. It's just been one job has led to the next, and just grown. And really, it's just been a sequence of these really, really cool opportunities that people have asked me to do. You biggest of all.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, not alone do you do that. You've got another whole string to your bow with respect to fashion design and
I do a bit of knitting.
Making.
Yeah, I do some knitting. I have this kind of line of knitwear that I make. They were called shawls by Nichola MacEvilly. The kind of R has been dropped because I make them in a slightly different way now, but I haven't given up on the R and the shawls.
Yeah, the colors
that's
beautiful.
I think that just helps me be creative all the time on my own terms, I suppose. So, yeah.
And maybe it's because we come from such a little small community in the west of Ireland that sort of people don't tend to need that specialization that you're talking about so much. That, you know, like even in Sligo, you think of the rich history it has in theatre. You mentioned the Blue Raincoats, but you think right back to Walter McDonagh, and you think back to, you know, the unknown players and all that. I mean, in a way, we haven't, I suppose, don't realize how lucky.
Yeah. We're still doing it, I suppose. It's still, it hasn't been documented because we're still at it, I guess. Maybe in time someone will come along and make a record of it, you know, of all the town's theatre, rich theatre history. What's really struck me over the past year is for me, it was always, I always wanted to live in Sligo and work internationally. And that was always, I almost had to keep it secret a little bit that I was living in the west of Ireland. But, you know, I'll be in London at 10 o'clock in the morning for sure, you know, no problem. I'm only up the road. But now that doesn't matter. So I feel like the people who want to live here can live here and still work anywhere they want to. Base isn't as important. And you can see people choosing to, you know, we can audition and meet like this, or, you know. So I think it can only thrive, you know, that rich history that we owe to, you know, the drama circles and the people who founded the theaters, you know, like the Hawkswell, and I think about Lionel Gallagher, you know.
Absolutely.
All that. Yeah. There's a man now who could write the history of
the people, those, there were a few singular people, as I mentioned, Walter, Niall Henry, obviously, Mary McDonough. You know, there's a lot of people who have who've just been so crucial to that. And it's weird, isn't it, now in lockdown where we are now? I mean, how you can't rehearse, or can one? What I mean, music certainly not. It's very hard.
Yeah. Music is a funny one because well, acting, we actually have managed to rehearse online. I'm doing a piece with Miriam Needham for the Hawkswell, and we've been rehearsing it online, and then we will record it in person, obviously completely safely and distant, and that's something that's you're still permitted to do for streaming purposes. So it'll be weird when we meet in person, you know. But that's because it's conversation back and forth, but you can't meet someone's eye. But music is strange because you're recording.
Well, that's right. It's impossible as of yet. I think I've heard of somebody has invented some special software now that you can hear the click at the same time, but I think it hasn't reached here yet anyway.
I know.
Like I was going to talk to you about Bedlam because obviously we worked intensely on that in 2019.
Oh my God!
And
2020.
And 2020. Oh yes, yes.
Well, 2019 was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, the 2019 was the kind of writing of it. I remember at a particular phase we went in. I wanted a chorus at the start of Brother Benjamin, and we made the chorus out of you, Luke Devaney, and Barry.
Yeah, we were a whole choir.
Six of you. Three sixes. Yeah. And you were, and I mean, there was a lot of creativity in that session because I came in with a certain amount of ideas and I'd done things, but you know, in the real world of doing it, lots of exciting things happened and people improvised and came up with things, and I love that. I love that, and it created a beautiful. The second side of the Fourth Wall album starts with that sound of all you guys.
It's lovely. That was lovely. That day, I remember that day in the studio, and just like, I love how you work because you have such a musical knowledge, you know, but you also have such a unique sound and ear, and you have goals and you have it in your head, but you're so open to the people in the room coming in and almost allowing the presence of everyone and the sound of them to inspire and feed into what's in your brain, you know, this magical brain. Like, it's incredible. It's really inspiring. And it could be intimidating for someone like me coming into that environment, because I'm like, I'm just guessing. I can sing a third up, a third again. Well, I don't know. I'm no expert in music, but at the same time, it's freeing, you know. It's really, really brilliant.
Well, there was a terrific vibe in the room, and that's one of the important things, that, you know, people came with this spirit of adventure to find something. And it was like in the dark room when you print a photograph, you don't know quite what's going to come up. And in the end, when all the various stems, as they say nowadays, came back, we started to listen. And we put them up on speakers. So, wow, this is fantastic.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So the other thing, we did another one, Man with a Suitcase, as well, which has been an odd time signature and had loads of complicated vocals. And I mean, you guys were brilliant. And that kind of then, of course, led to a few shows that you did.
Yeah. You guys.
With us guys.
Yeah. That was so brilliant. And what I love about working with you is that you have to put the work in. Like that, I remember like the music for Bedlam Suitcase. Like it doesn't just, like the work that goes into it is there for the ear to hear. You know, you as a listener, you have to listen, and as a performer, you really have to work. I know with those rehearsals, I'd always go away and I'd have my lines recorded, and I'd try and match my line to the tune, and that makes it so much more satisfying, because when you nail it then in a gig or in a rehearsal, you're like, wow, I got that because I worked really hard on it, you know. And
You
just
did,
the tempo
and
they're in, and they're the counting, and it's so
yeah.
satisfying then, you know. But you have to really listen to one another as well. So when you're on stage together, if one person isn't tuned in or something, it just all falls apart. I just really enjoy that.
There was a great sort of chemistry and vibe between yourself and Tara Mooney as
Yeah,
well. She was
yeah,
out
she's
front,
just,
right? She's a
yeah,
magical person, isn't
she's
she?
just such a magical person, and her voice is just so powerful. Like it's just, I've never heard a voice that's such a shortcut to someone's soul, you know. It's just
That's lovely.
instant, like you're there, she's so open with that, you know. And I think when you're sharing a space with someone like that, you feel so liberated that you too can be open, free, and yeah, she's really giving. And yeah, you did incredible work on that album.
We're very proud of the album, but the thing is that we just started. We've done 2 or 3 shows. We've done one in Sligo, in Carrick and Shannon. We've done the Sugar Club and whatever, and we were ready to start our promotional tour for the album and a Sligo launch, and that was all went by the way, of course. Because
I know, yeah.
So hopefully we will get back to
That's right. We had those gigs. That was actually the first proper gig that was cancelled, I think, wasn't it, for us?
Yeah.
You know, those 2-3 nights in the factory.
Yeah, there was going to be, they were lined up, and we got help from Honor Heffernan and other people in booking other gigs. So, but maybe we will again do them. You know, we had a fantastic band. With Rian Trench and Azumi Kimura and Cathal Roach and Tom, of course, and Garvin on bass. That's the way. But we will get back to it. We will get back to it, no doubt, Nichola.
Definitely.
And I just, I mean, what are you doing now? You mentioned a few things you were.
Yeah, so right now, the most immediate thing is I am working with Miriam Needham, she's artist in residence at Hawkswell, and she was commissioned to write a piece, and she's calling it, the working title is Snapshot, and it might stay that title. And basically she interviewed people about their experience of the first few months of the pandemic and how they felt about it. And through what she learned from those people and the recordings, she came up with this 2-hander, a story about 2 sisters, and then it's interspersed with all these other stories. So it's a snapshot of a particular time, and it's really lovely. And we have been rehearsing over Zoom, and we're working towards a rehearsed reading now, which the Hawkswell will stream it. Don't have a date for that actually, but sure.
Right. But we'll keep our eye out for it. Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to say to you as well is that you do write as well yourself.
I wrote that one time.
Right.
Hawkswell commissioned me to write, and I was like, oh, okay, for come together. It was at the very, very start of the pandemic. So yeah, wrote a little piece. I called it One Still City. It was about 5 minutes long. Performed it. Yeah,
actually, that's on the Hawkswell. On the Hawkswell website, you can go and see it.
Yeah, on their YouTube channel. It's called One Still City. You can have a look. Yeah, writing is something that I think in my life I have worked with. Well, I worked with Tom Murphy, you know, one of our greatest writers of all time. So I can't believe I didn't mention that role in my favorite roles. It was one of the most proudest moments of my life to work on a play by Tom Murphy. And so
what was that, Nichola? What was that?
It was called The Wake. It was called The Wake. It was on at the Abbey. Annabelle Common directed it. It was in 2016. And so just like, you know, they're working on Shakespeare, working on Ionesco, working on Neil Simon. There's so many incredible writers, And yeah, like I'd write in my notebook. I don't aspire to be a writer, and I'm an actor. It's what I trained in. And I think the only reason I'm saying this is because I listened to something an actor recorded the other day about the pressure they feel to write. And he kind of just recorded this little parody about, no, I don't write, would you ask a doctor to build a hospital? I just thought that's really, really kind of freeing, because sometimes, because I don't write and I don't seek funding and I don't try and put on my one-woman show, I feel a little inadequate, that I'm not writing. I think, but I'm, doing so many other things.
But it's not like we should elevate the writing into some special thing. I mean, everyone's role as like you said at the start, it's a fabric. And everyone being an actor is as much a creative act as well. So that's not to denigrate that in any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look, it took a long time, to get there.
To build those skills. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And at the same time, everybody can do everything. Everyone can sing, everyone can write, but
well, I think you're living proof of that, Nichola.
Every moments, moments. But the writing is something that I'd never say I wouldn't do, but it's not something that I just think there's so many incredible writers that I'd much rather work on their material than my, writing for the sake of trying to write.
In the world that sort of I inhabit, I see a huge amount of creativity, from say singers. They mightn't write the song, but in the interpretation of it, this is the key thing. The interlocutor who takes it from that theoretical framework and delivers it on stage and hands it to the public is a key element in the whole jigsaw puzzle. So,
Absolutely. Like you say, it's a fabric,
So thank you for the work you've done with us. It's been brilliant. And your contribution to the Animals album, of course, Bedlam Suitcase as well. And thank you for talking to me and doing this today. It's brilliant. You're very good.
Pleasure. Anytime. Always great chatting.
Great chatting. Yeah. I think we're coming near to the end of our little tape or recording.
Oh yeah. Very nice. This is great. I love this.
Yeah, so
it's
good luck
so
with
funny
everything.
How you get used to Zoom, you get used to these conversations and you're like,
we have gotten used to them. I've got to become a granddad lately, and the only way I encounter
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, the only way I see the little Jacob is over this because they're in London. So,
right. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, Nichola.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I know. So I see it all the time with especially newborns, they're kind of toddlers before.
Yeah. I know, it's such a short time. So, I mean, we're looking forward to loads more happening and to more projects.
Definitely.
But maybe, hopefully, to get back on stage and get back to live audiences.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it's worth kind of knuckling down and, waiting for that great time. It'll be so special.
What a sense
we'll never take it for
be.
granted. We'll never take for granted, and we'll enjoy it more. I won't beat myself up about wrong notes, and I'll just enjoy it. In all aspects, I think I'll just enjoy the whole thing more because, it can all go so fast, and that was just such a shocker,
Unbelievable. So listen, yeah. Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Nichola.
Lovely talking to you.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Drink my tea now.
Yeah, and let's just knock off the recording part. We can